Hi, this is Isaac Hickerson, a data manager for Region 1. In today's video, I want to talk to you about setting section control on a Gen 4 monitor. But before you watch this, I would highly encourage you to go watch the setting section control on a 2630 video. In that video, we walk through with a planner how to figure out where our seed is dropping in the ground, how to set all that up, and to figure out kind of what numbers or what buttons you need to punch in on the display. That will help you in figuring out what feet or what distance or what times you need to put in on your Gen 4 as well. So again, watch that video before you watch this one. But once you have an idea of where your seed is being placed, if it's a skip, if it's an overlap, or if you're putting out liquid nitrogen, anhydrous, any one of those, once you have a good idea of what you need to do, what you need to fix, then we'll come into our display here, go to the Setup tab, come into our Equipment tab, and again, just like with the 2630 video, I encourage you to make sure before you even start the section control portion is to make sure all your measurements are in here and correct. So we want to put them in for our tractor and our planter, and if you're running a liquid system like these folks are, the Surefire, make sure those are all put in there as well. But that's really going to help you dial it in for your section control, is having all these numbers and information in correctly. As you see, you got the pivot offset. You got to tell it how many rows and what spacing you got. You got to tell it where your center of rotation is, which will be to your tires on your implement. You have your work point, which is where the seed is actually coming out, the liquid nitrogen actually coming in and out. And then once we have all that in there and all correctly, and we've measured or we've figured out what we're dealing with, a skip and overlap, we're going to come in here to our mechanical delay section. So that's going to be somewhat similar to what you saw on the 2630. I can manually increase or decrease my delay on and my delay off. The nice thing about the Gen 4 is you have this button called Performance Tuning. So I click in here on this. It's going to kind of read me through here what I'm looking at. If I go next. All right, so whether I am entering my planted area or exiting my planted area, I can tell it what symptom I have, if I have a skip or if I have an overlap, and then I can tell it how far that skip or overlap was, whether it was 1 foot, 2 foot, 6 inches. I can type that in here. So I'm just going to say I had a 2 foot skip. I'm going to tell it I was running 5 miles an hour. Again, with setting section control, you want to make sure you maintain a consistent speed throughout the day. If we set our section control at 5 mile an hour, and then later in the day we start running 6, 7, 8 mile an hour, our section control will start to get off. Okay, but we type that information in. We go next, and here we say, okay, we would like our seed to be placed at planting to the row. We would like an overlap, and we could type in how far of an overlap we'd like. We'd like a little bit of a skip, maybe that's 6 inches, something like that. But that's whatever you desire. That is up to you at that point. So once you figure that out, majority of the time I just go plant a row. I know each grower is different. You would hit OK here, and it's going to tell you one of two things. It's going to tell you that it was able to update the system, or if it's too far off or your measurements aren't quite right, it's going to tell you that it was unable to update the system. So from there, I would advise to make sure your measurements are correct, or come back out here and manually adjust your on-off times within the display. So I hope between this video and the setting section control in the 2630 video, you have a better understanding now of how to set your section control in your displays.